NXT tonight was a pretty decent show tonight. If you guys watched NXT or you guys missed NXT and watched AEW Dynamite tonight, NXT was a pretty decent show. They got us hyped up for next week's show. The card is pretty much stacked up for next week. We will go over that card on some point in the review. But I said this on Twitter during the women's tag team title match. The match was good, don't get me wrong. The match was good for what it was. But I have a problem with it. You gave Dakota Kai and Raquel González the women's Dusty Cup. You gave Dakota Kai and Raquel González the women's Dusty Cup. Right? I said this on Twitter about World Wrestling Entertainment having one shot of giving Bobby Lashley the WWE Championship on Raw this past Monday. Did they follow through? Yes. Did they fucking drag the living shit out of it? Yes. Yes, they did. But we got to the point where Lashley beat The Miz and won the title on Raw this past Monday. Good. You gave Raquel González, like I said, you gave Raquel González and Dakota Kai the women's Dusty Cup. You give them a women's tag team title match on this specific show tonight against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. What the fuck was that ending to that fucking matchup? Don't get me wrong, the match was good for what it was. Don't get me wrong. The matchup was good for what it was. But you're supposed to follow through, folks. Raquel González right now is being fucking looked on by everybody else, from Triple H, from Shawn Michaels, to everybody in NXT. They were all hyped up for Raquel González. Like I said on Twitter, they had one shot to give Raquel González and Dakota Kai the Women's Tag Team Championships, so that way the Women's Tag Team Championships could be permanently on NXT. If it's another championship that NXT needs outside of the women's and the men's championship, is the women's tag team titles. That's the one championship that NXT needs. NXT has a stacked up women's division. Not only that, but if you got a lot of women in NXT and you can form certain tag teams with those Pacific women, you can build up a women's tag team division in NXT. And I think also, my personal opinion here, I think the Women's Tag Team Championships fits perfectly in NXT. Because what the fuck does the Women's Tag Team Championships matter on Raw and SmackDown? They have no Women's Tag Team division on fucking Raw and SmackDown on the main roster. No, they fucking don't. You really think about this here. The only real tag team coming out of Raw and SmackDown is Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. That's the only tag team in that whole entire Raw and SmackDown women's tag team division. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, they're a makeshift tag team. I don't really call them a fucking real tag team. You could have gave the Women's Tag Team Championships to Dakota Kai and Raquel González. Now what? Now what does Dakota and Raquel do on NXT? What's next for them to do? Get called down to the main roster where they get fucking buried within a month's time? I don't want to see Raquel González and Dakota Kai on fucking Raw or SmackDown. The second Vince looks at Raquel González and Dakota Kai, Vince will fucking leave them in catering for at least a month. You think I'm joking? Try it. Try it. We will go over everything that happened on the show tonight in what I thought was a pretty decent show. Not bad of a show. Not bad of a show whatsoever. But I do have some news. I do have some NXT news pertaining to the NXT title match, the current status of the title match at WrestleMania, and the rumor, which I think is pretty much legitimate at this point, because of William Regal saying on NXT tonight that he has a major announcement next week that's going to change the landscape of NXT. For what I found out today, as when I was in the gym doing my cardio, that NXT will be moving to Tuesday nights. We will go over that. We will go over the news in just a second here. If you guys are Watching NXT tonight. If you guys saw NXT tonight, what you guys thought of the show tonight? Leave a comment down below. If you guys don't know who I am Chris. Thank you guys so much for tuning back into the channel. If you guys saw NXT tonight and saw that NXT was a pretty decent show, or if you like the show whatsoever, hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment down below your thoughts of the show tonight. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to show your support by hitting that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bells for all notifications so you don't miss a single upload that I do on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, specifically after WrestleMania, it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on the channel. Raw Review is live on the channel right now. Bobby Lashley, finally, after 16 long years, Bobby Lashley wins the WWE Championship. My thoughts on it are on this video. Link to Raw Review will be in the annotation above that you see on the upper hand corner of your screen. Also down below in the description, as well as SmackDown Review from this past Friday. Brian Watts reigns at Fastlane. We did find out on Talking Smack that Daniel Bryan will face Jey Uso in a steel cage on SmackDown this Friday. And if Daniel Bryan wins, he will get his Universal Championship match most likely at Fastlane. But if Bryan doesn't beat Jey Uso, then Bryan will have to fall in line. Link to SmackDown Review will be in the annotation above that you see on the upper hand corner of your screen, as well as down below in the description. Make sure you guys have followed me on social media at Twitter and Instagram. Twitter at GoodVibesChris with an underscore, and Instagram at GoodVibesChris183. I upload very much pretty every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But after WrestleMania and then NXT gets moved on to Tuesdays, I'll be uploading every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with Dynamite, and then Friday for SmackDown. Let's get on with the NXT news real quick before we review the show here. Current status of the NXT title match at WrestleMania. Now, World Wrestling Entertainment is planning WrestleMania. And as the event goes closer, fans are wondering if NXT will get any type of love. Right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. According to Wrestle Talk, take that with a grain of salt. I don't really take anything from Wrestle Talk completely serious, but as I said, take this with a grain of salt. Wrestle Talk reports that right now there is no plan for the NXT Championship match at the show of shows because this is an event that is still being put together. I found out a couple days ago that Bruce and Vince are the only two men out of the entire company, including the fucking creative writing staff, that knows the WrestleMania plans. Nobody else, not even the fucking creative writing team, not even the superstars know what the plans are for WrestleMania. So far, we're in March 3rd, folks. We're in the 3rd day of March, and we only have 2 matches confirmed for WrestleMania. Roman Reigns versus Edge for the Universal Championship, and Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. The fact that we're in March 3rd and not even the WWE Championship has no plans at all whatsoever for WrestleMania. Sick. Absolutely sick. That is not a lot of information is flowing within the company. Company writers must ask permission from Vince McMahon and or Bruce Pritchard before giving storyline details to the talent. We'll have to wait and see if things change. But right now, they are not talking about working in NXT storyline into the show of shows. Now, that will bleed in to my next news article here about NXT possibly having a takeover during WrestleMania week. WWE seemingly confirms WrestleMania week NXT TakeOver special. Now, World Wrestling Entertainment hasn't announced another TakeOver special yet, but there's apparently one on the calendar. Some fans are canceling their network subscriptions, and I will let them know why, because there's so much great content on the fucking network. You have the Broken Skull sessions, you have 24, you have Chronicles, you can watch every past, present, and current World Wrestling Entertainment pay-per-views, WCW pay-per-views, and Nitro, ECW pay-per-views from back then. But fans are getting ready for Peacock in March, or an array of other reasons. they discovered a very interesting piece of information upon doing so. A message pops up saying that fans who cancel their network subscriptions, again, if you're canceling the fucking network, you're a fucking idiot, will miss out on upcoming events such as Fastlane on March 21st, NXT TakeOver on April 8th, which is a fucking Thursday, by the way, and WrestleMania on April 10th and 11th. That TakeOver mention caught some fans off guard. Now, it was previously reported, which I read to you guys just now, that NXT will not have a match at WrestleMania this year. We don't know that yet. We don't know what's in the plans of Vince and Bruce. We don't know that yet. So, again, take that report with a grain of salt. This TakeOver edition on April 8th could be why. It appears that TakeOver will be on a Thursday. If this is practically true, there is still no word on when World Wrestling Entertainment is getting the Hall of Fame out of the way this year, since it won't be an event with live fans. Now, this seems like another instant of the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing yet in WWE. I think they should have a TakeOver. I think so. Because if you're not, I mean, according to Wrestle Talk, that NXT is not having a match to WrestleMania, who knows? They probably will. Like I said, only Vince and Bruce knows the actual WrestleMania card. Not even creative, not even the superstars know what they're doing for WrestleMania. So who the hell knows? They probably can, they probably won't. Who the fuck knows? Only time will tell. Only time will tell here. But if they do have another TakeOver, I wouldn't mind it on that Thursday during WrestleMania week. I wouldn't mind it. But then again, if you really think about it, you're going to have too much wrestling that week. You got Raw that Monday, which is the go-home show before WrestleMania. You got Wednesday with Dynamite and NXT, which is NXT's final go-home show before TakeOver and possibly the final Wednesday show on the USA Network. Thursday at TakeOver, Friday at SmackDown, WrestleMania Day 1 is Saturday, and WrestleMania Day 2 is Sunday. Then you got Raw the following Monday. And then NXT on Tuesdays, if they are still on the USA Network on that Tuesday. And then Wednesday, you have Dynamite as well on that Wednesday. Too much wrestling to you, maybe? Possibly, but it's WrestleMania week. So a lot of things is going to happen, with access. I don't even think they're going to have access this year. With COVID and everything else and shit, and things are slowly going back to normal. I don't know if you guys heard about Texas, but Texas is opening up fully, 100% with no mask. A fucking mistake. Straight stupid, in my opinion. But I don't want to get into politics here. But you guys know my drift when it comes to fucking Texas. Anyways, I wouldn't mind the TakeOver. I wouldn't mind a TakeOver whatsoever on that Thursday, on that April 8th, going in the WrestleMania weekend. I wouldn't mind it. But then again, if you had a TakeOver that Thursday, what are you doing with the Hall of Fame? Now, if I was running this company, in my opinion, now this is just me. I don't know if anybody else is thinking the same way that I'm thinking here. But I know the Hall of Fame is big. Well, to some people it's big. Some people think it really isn't big. But the Hall of Fame is big when it comes to WrestleMania. You're getting so many, past legends, future Hall of Famers going into the Hall of Fame, and everything else. If I was Vince and I'm running this company and I want to move the Hall of Fame, if you can't get the Hall of Fame this year for WrestleMania week, you can always do it at SummerSlam weekend. Now, who knows what happens with COVID, Hopefully by the summertime, COVID is officially starting to slow down by the summer, and you guys can have fans and everything else in attendance at your current shows and everything else. Who knows? Hopefully by the summer, keeping my fingers crossed, hopefully by the summer, COVID and everything else is like slowly like dying down. Things are starting to open up little vicariously and stuff like that. But I wouldn't really mind a TakeOver this year, especially during WrestleMania weekend. I wouldn't mind it at all. I wouldn't really mind it at all. And on top of that, it gives me more content for you guys for the channel. Think about it. WrestleMania week could be pretty big. Could be pretty big going into WrestleMania week. Now, speaking of WrestleMania, some news here. I mean, a little news article here for WrestleMania. WrestleMania tickets will go on sale next week. Raw Wrestling Entertainment is holding another 2-night WrestleMania event this year. They will also bring back live fans, and those tickets have not gone public just yet. The wait will soon be over. Scalpers are already selling WrestleMania tickets. There is no guarantee those tickets will actually be delivered at this point. No information has been confirmed when it comes to seating and socially distanced. Fightful Select and Sean Ross Sapp now reports that WrestleMania tickets are set to go on sale next week. Fightful is told that the plan for ticket sales for the event at Raymond James Stadium is roughly next week. At this time, there isn't a lot of information because there have been a few kinks in the operation. This is what Fightful Select reported. There's a test event scheduled for this Friday to work out any kinks in the ticket sales. Live fans can't wait to get back to the business of attending World Wrestling Entertainment events once again. World Wrestling Entertainment also really wants to make sure that they have the safest setting possible because the last thing that they need is negative PR while bringing back live fans. I found out from WrestleVote earlier today that tickets will go on sale March 12th. That is the Pacific Day, guys. March the 12th. Now, I got invited to go to WrestleMania by a few buddies of mine that are over in Tampa, in the Tampa Bay area. I got invited to go to WrestleMania, but I said no. Because, I want to be safe. I want to be safe. Like, God forbid. I mean, yeah, people will say, oh, Chris, but, it's WrestleMania. You could possibly go 2 nights. Yeah. I got invited to go both nights to WrestleMania this year. I got invited to go both nights. But at the same time, I don't really feel safe about going to Florida, especially during the pandemic. So, I'm just going to sit in the comfort of my own home, watching WrestleMania in the comfort of my own home. So, it is what it is. But would I love to go to WrestleMania? Yeah, I would. But, like I said, I want to be safe about it. With COVID still going around and everything else and the pandemic and stuff, I just want to be safe about it. So, if you guys are attending WrestleMania, tickets will go on sale according to WrestleVotes on March the 12th. Finally, guys, to round up the news for NXT, WWE reporting moving NXT to Tuesdays. This is a good thing. Because according to the ratings, if you guys even care about the ratings, well, between NXT and AEW at this point, I never cared about it since day one. I never cared. So, as long as I'm getting good wrestling out of both companies, out of both shows, that's all the fuck I care about. Wrestling Entertainment brought NXT to the USA Network, even rushing to get on air 2 weeks prior to AEW Dynamite and the Wednesday Night War started. If you care about the Wednesday Night War to this even very second, I don't know what to tell you. Now they are reportedly coming to an end. The Madman Pro Wrestling Podcast reports that a very reliable source has said that WWE is moving NXT to Tuesday. This will reportedly start on April the 13th, which was after WrestleMania. This is what the Madman Pro Wrestling Podcast, shout out to them. Hearing from a very reliable source that NXT will be moving to Tuesday starting April the 13th. Spectral Sports 360's John Alba also tweeted in response to this post. He used eyeball emojis as if to indicate that fans should take notice. It wasn't noted if NXT will be on the USA Network. We don't know that for sure, but I'm gonna see and guess that they will. They could find their way onto Peacock. We will continue monitoring the situation as more information is made known. This is a good decision by NXT. Being moved to Tuesday nights. I actually like it, low key. Because and to be honest with you, NXT. Listen, NXT has been hit or miss as of late. They've been hit or miss completely as of late. They've been hit or miss here. But in my honest opinion here, and this is just my opinion, I think NXT moving to Tuesdays is a great move for them. And I'll tell you why. They can focus on better shows. They can focus on their takeovers. They can focus on their builds and everything else. Now, we don't know if NXT is going to still be on the USA Network. We don't know that yet. We'll probably find and wait until more information is out there. Or they can be moved to Peacock. We don't know yet. We have no idea yet. But if I was to make a guess here, I think NXT will still be on the USA Network. And if it were up to me, NXT will probably be at 1 hour. Because I remember when NXT on the network at 1 hour, they will have like a whole set of tapings leading up to a takeover, go live for at least 1 week, and then have another few more set of tapings leading up to the next takeover. You know, building storylines 1 week, and then the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week. They feature different superstars every single week. Which made NXT fresh, which made NXT very good every single week. I loved when NXT was on the network for 1 hour. I loved that. But now they moved to the USA network because of AEW and the AEW effect and the Wednesday Night Wars and shit and the ratings war and shit. Who cares? You know, who the fuck cares? If you care about the ratings, please don't. As long as you're getting good wrestling on a weekly basis from not only from NXT, from AEW as well, that's all you should care about. You know, people put their bodies on the line every single week for our entertainment. You shouldn't be sitting here caring about all ratings and shit. Oh, AEW is continuing to beat NXT in the ratings every single week. Who cares about the ratings at this point? People still care about the Raw ratings. And the simple fact that we are on the road to WrestleMania and Raw can't even crack a 2.0 rating. Didn't Raw back on Monday draw like a 1.8? I said it on the Raw review this past Monday. The reason why what they did to drag Miz and Lashley to the main event of the show is to pull ratings. It's only for ratings, folks, because they know that that third hour is fucking killing them. Simple. If I was Vince, I would put Raw back at 2 hours, whether if it's 8 to 10 or 9 to 11. I remember back in 1997, Raw would be from 8 to 10. And I love that. 8 to 10. That 2 hour gap from 8 to 10, I love that. Love that shit. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. So there you go. NXT tonight. We'll go over NXT right now. NXT was a pretty decent show tonight. Pretty decent show. But the card that they have for next week, if you ask me, the NXT card for next week is pretty stacked up for next week. NXT kicked off with the NXT Tag Team Champions, Burch and Oney Lorcan. Love that tag team. Took a picture with them during WrestleMania Access 2 years ago. Still have that picture. Fucking love them. Against Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. This match was good for what it was to kick off the show. One thing about Tommaso Ciampa, I don't know if you guys caught this. I don't know if you guys even saw NXT tonight, but if you guys did, Tommaso Ciampa had hair. Hair. The man is not bald anymore. The man has hair. Not long hair, but, you know, you see all the gray in his head. I mean, bald is beautiful, just saying. But at the same time, you know, Ciampa is looking like his age a little bit, which I don't really mind. But, you know, I love Ciampa. I do. I love Ciampa. But at the same time, you know, Ciampa looks more demonic and more like a freak of nature with bald. That's just me. I don't know. That's just me. I love Ciampa, though. Don't get me wrong. This tag team match is pretty good for what it was here. Good for what it was. But the ending of the match really sparked up a little plug on my head real quick. Lorcan runs in and kicks Thatcher, but he doesn't let go. Instead, smiles at him. Ciampa runs in and attacks Lorcan. Then he and Thatcher battle the tag champions with forearms side by side. Lorcan tags in, knocks Ciampa off the apron, but tags Burch. And they look for a double team move. But Thatcher runs and knocks Burch back. Then Ciampa runs in, kicks Lorcan. All four men trade shots until all four are down. Imperium comes out, stands on the stage, distracting Ciampa. Lorcan tags in and knocks Ciampa off the apron. Then he and Burch look for a double team neck breaker for the win. When Thatcher was looking for the tag on Ciampa, he couldn't because Thatcher had his eyes on Imperium. So that's what had Lorcan knock Ciampa off the apron. And then he and Burch did the double team neck breaker on Thatcher for the victory. Champions, folks, should not be losing on live TV. So there you go. The NXT Tag Team Champions retain here. Oney Lorcan and Burch. Good match for what it was. Good match for what it was here on NXT to kick off the show tonight. But I gotta ask the question here. Why is this popping up on my fucking screen? Hello? There you go. Is Timothy Thatcher possibly joining Imperium? Or is Champa and Thatcher have the next feud set against Imperium? Should be good. Should be hard-hitting. But I don't know what they're doing with Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, you compare Tommaso Ciampa to around this time last year, you know, competing for the NXT Championship at Portland, at TakeOver Portland. Then Gargano turns heel on him, and then they have their fucking feud. It's crazy how 1 year can change everything. It's amazing. Around this time last year, they had Champa and Cole at TakeOver Portland in what I thought was a fucking fantastic matchup. Only for Gargano to turn on Champa, cost him the championship, and then they feud. Which they could have feuded 2 years ago, but Champa had his neck injury, his neck problem. To now, with Champa in a tag team with Timothy Thatcher. Now, don't get me wrong. Timothy Thatcher's good in the ring. Don't get me wrong. He's pretty good in the ring. But I just don't see that tag team dynamic between Champa and Thatcher. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But for me, I just don't see it. I just really don't see it in Champa and Thatcher. Two great competitors, sure. Champa should be up in the rankings right now for the NXT Championship right now. But instead, they got him in this tag team with freaking Timothy Thatcher that right now isn't going anywhere. NXT got to do a lot better with Champa, bro. They got to do a whole lot better with him. And Champa even said it himself. I believe he said it, last year or 2 years ago. If Champa ever got called up to the main roster, he's retiring. He's straight up retiring. And I don't blame him. Because listen, Champa on the main roster? You tell me, folks. You tell me. We see Roderick Strong walking backstage. He's coming to the ring to get some answers from Adam Cole after the break here. So Strong comes to the ring. He demands Cole to come out of the ring right now. But nothing happens. Strong says that if any of them ever meant anything to Cole, he'll come out right now. Instead, the NXT Champion Finn Bálor comes to the ring. Strong says the Undisputed Era was doing just fine until Bálor came into the picture. So it's all his fault. Bálor says it isn't his fault. The reason why the so-called Brotherhood fell apart is because of the NXT Championship. To be honest with you, Finn Bálor does have a point. Bálor says he knows how to get Cole out here. Next week, Adam Cole versus Finn Bálor for the NXT Championship. Now, since when Finn Bálor can just come out of the fucking ring out of nowhere and announce matches? Since when? Bálor tells Strong he'll never be a leader until he gets some killer instinct like Finn Bálor does. He'll never be on the Princess level. Strong pushes Bálor, and they take it to the mat and brawl until referees come down and separate them. Good segment here for what it was. Good segment here. Good segment. Now, if Bálor is going to defend the championship against Cole next week, do we have the NXT Championship match at WrestleMania still? Because if Bálor is going to walk in the TakeOver, either the next TakeOver on April 8th, or they add the NXT Championship match to WrestleMania, Bálor can't lose here. Now, I'm not going to say it's a possibility that Bálor could lose next week, but it's a pretty much possibility that he could lose next week. Unless, you know, Triple H sees the bigger match with Bálor and Cross, which in my opinion, it is the bigger match there. It is the bigger match. You put Adam Cole in that situation against Karrion Kross. Who the fuck is winning that matchup like this? At least Bálor has, you know, a better shot at beating Kross than Adam Cole does. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Adam Cole. Cole is fucking amazing. Listen, if this was my NXT, if this was my main roster, I would have Cole have the longest reigning WWE champion of all time. If it was up to me, because Cole is just that good. If I was starting a wrestling company and I need a number one guy in my company, Adam Cole's that guy. Adam Cole's that guy. Cross is an easy number 2, and Finn Bálor's an easy number 3. That's just me. If I was to have a wrestling company and needed one guy to be that standard bearer of my company, calls my guy. Cole, Cross, and Bálor. 1, 2, 3, easily. But this segment was good for what it was. Not bad. Not bad here. But since when Finn Bálor can come out and announce matches for next week? Since when? Little weird to me, but then again, he is a champ, so he calls what he sees. So there you go. Good segment for what it was on the show. We see a video of the Wwe at a psychiatric center in Florida. Austin Theory thinks they were getting Chuck E. Cheese. I love Chuck E. Cheese as a fucking kid. My God. Gargano says the Dexter Lumis problem is getting at them all. Theory says they don't have an issue with him, and Gargano is incredulous, saying he was kidnapped. Theory says it was a vacation, and LeRae said he was trapped in a room for 3 days. That's not a vacation. Andy says it would be if she was with Lumis. Let me repeat that here. Indy says it would be a vacation if she was with Lumis. I don't know Dexter Lumis. I mean, Indy Hartwell, she's kind of fire, bro. She's kind of fire. No cap. But I love Dexter Lumis. But moving on here. Gargano gets angry and sees that Indy was writing Indie Wrestling Lumis. Mrs. Indie Wrestling Lumis. On a notepad. Now, this is the line that got me fucking laughing here. Gargano says he gave her that name for Christmas, and now she's ruined Christmas. I think Gargano, in my opinion right now, I think Gargano is the Roman Reigns right now of fucking NXT. Anything Gargano touches or says turns to gold. It's just fucking hilarious here. Gargano was freaking out, and the therapist says he obviously has some deep, deep issues. Well, everybody else had deep issues when it comes to fucking Monday Night Raw here. Gargano tells her to get out, that this is his room, and she kicks him out. The saga will continue. Yo, Gargano is just hilarious. I love Gargano. It's just too fucking funny. He's just funny. I fucking love him as a heel. Let me tell you. Cameron Grimes is sitting backstage in production, and he wants to change the name of the CWC to the Cameron Grimes-atorium. Somebody asked, is that approved? And Cameron Grimes said, I have the money for it. Regal appears and tells him to stand up. Regal says that last week Grimes hit a crew member, and it may have a lawsuit on his hands. Grimes tries to pay it off, but Regal says it's not about money. He has an issue with him. Grimes says everyone has a price, so what's his? Since when Cameron Grimes is trying to beat Ted DiBiase? I have one thing to say to you, Mr. Cameron Grimes, sir. Don't fuck with the original. Please don't. Regal says he has a contract with his name on it, and tonight he'll be facing Big Boy, my boy, Bronson Reed. It's my guy. It's my guy. We got Aliyah with the Robert Stone brand. I did not know Aliyah's Canadian. I did not know that. Interesting. Versus Ember Moon with Shotzi Blackheart. This match was... Not bad. Not bad here. Moon hits a drop kick to Aliyah for a 2 count. Aliyah pulls Moon into the buckles. Then hits a running kick to the back of the head before applying a rear chin lock. Moon breaks away, hits a Hurricane Rana, then drops her with repeated lariats and a drop kick to the ribs. Ember hits a spine buster for near fall, then goes to the top rope, but Aliyah comes up with her, looks for a superplex to no avail. Moon tosses her off, but then Stone and Kamea get on the apron to distract her. Shotzi runs over, dives into both of them, then Moon hits the Eclipse for the victory. Listen, If I was to have an NXT crush right now, and TM, I know you're watching, big bro. If I was to have one crush on NXT, it's Shotzi Blackheart. She is fucking gorgeous. Mwah. Just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Match was not bad for what it was. Now, I said on Twitter about Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart being a great tag team together. You know, they've been really good together since Ember Moon returned to NXT. If they was to have a women's tag team championships in NXT, I could see Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart win those titles. No doubt, no question. They're really good together. They have great chemistry. They work together very well. I could see them as future women's tag team champions. You know, if they was to have the championships on NXT. If you know what I mean. Yeah, yeet. So moving on here. Moon wins. The match, not bad for what it was. It was alright. Bad for what it was. Moon defeats Aliyah. Thatcher and Champa get interviewed backstage, and Tim says Imperium keep throwing his name, his past in his face. Champa says his past with Imperium is just that. The past. So coming out of commercial break next week, and this is one of the matches for next week, we're getting Toni Storm versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's title. And they delivered a very good video package for you to get hyped up for that matchup next week on NXT. Women's Tag Team Championships. This match pissed me off. The matchup was good, don't get me wrong. The matchup was good. But the ending of this match pissed me off. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defend the women's tag team titles against Dakota Kai and Raquel González. Now, everybody was getting hyped up. Everybody saw a lot of potential in Raquel González, and she has a lot of potential. She does. She has a whole lot of potential. I did not know, and I probably said this in a past NXT review. I think last week's NXT review I said this. I did not know that Raquel González is the daughter of Giant Gonzalez. I did not know that. Wow. I mean, you know, God rest his soul, but wow, I did not know that. Wow. So, match was good, pretty good pace here, but the ending, we'll talk about that in just a moment here. Baszler knees Gonzalez, then applies a sleeper hold, but Raquel quickly fights up and tags Kai for a kick to the face. Jackson Gonzalez get knocked from the ring, and Kai and Baszler go back and forth. Baszler gets Kai in the Kuda for the clutch, and she fights it to get a tag to Gonzalez. Raquel rushes in. She got the tag, and knocks Jax off the apron, clobbering the referee in the process. Jackson Gonzalez spill outside, and Raquel tackles her over the announce desk. Kai and Baszler stir, but the referee is down. Baszler gets Kai with the Kuda for the clutch again. Out comes Adam Pearce with a Raw official. So Adam Pearce, from the main roster, Adam Pearce, comes out with a Monday Night Raw official. The referee comes in, checks on Dakota Kai, and rings the bell. Now, if I'm not mistaken here, Dakota Kai was not the legal woman in this match. Raquel got the tag. So therefore, Raquel González was the legal woman in this. It should be Raquel and Shayna battling it out. Why is Shayna Baszler still having the Kuda for the clutch on Dakota Kai when Kai is not the legal woman? And to fuck everything up, and this was fucking some main roster type shit, Adam Pearce comes out with an official. What the fuck is Adam Pearce doing after CWC? Comes in with the Raw official, checks on Dakota Kai. Mind you, Dakota Kai's not the legal woman. Rings the bell. Are you fucking kidding me? So you had Raquel González and Dakota Kai win the Women's Dusty Cup, only for them to not win the Women's Tag Team titles. Are you kidding me? Are you dead ass right now? I said on Raw. This company had one shot to give Lashley the WWE title on Raw this past Monday, and they followed through. You have the hottest tag team right now, the hottest women's tag team right now, in Dakota Kai and Raquel González win the inaugural Women's Dusty Cup. They earned a women's tag team title shot, only for them to lose. Now, I would have been even more pissed off if Raquel González got pinned or made to submit. I would have been even more pissed off here. The NXT women's division right now, if you want to talk about women's divisions, talk about Raw, SmackDown, AEW, NXT, Impact. Who has the hottest women's division right now in the entire wrestling landscape? NXT does. Impact has a pretty decent women's division. Pretty decent. But NXT, top to bottom, completely fucking stacked. If I was running this fucking show, if I was the owner of this fucking company, I would have the Women's Tag Team Championships officially and permanently be on NXT. Because what women's tag team division you have on Raw and SmackDown? None. Doesn't even fucking exist. The only, and you can really think about this here, the only legitimate women's tag team you have on Raw and SmackDown is Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. I don't want to see no makeshift tag teams on Raw and SmackDown and calling it a fucking women's tag team division. It's fucking bogus. Meanwhile, you have NXT. You got a lot of women in NXT. Not only in NXT, but you have a lot of women at the Performance Center who just got recruited to NXT. You can use those women, make tag teams, make them look good, and make them presentable as a legit tag team. What's so hard about moving the women's tag team titles to NXT? You could have gave Raquel González and Dakota Kai the women's tag team championships. Because that's where the women's revolution started, in NXT. With Sasha, Becky, Bayley, and Charlotte. Well, if you want to count Trish and Lita and everybody else in the past, you can count them as well. Man, who books this shit? I sense complete main roster garbage on this match tonight. You want to give Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax the fucking victory when Dakota Kai and Dakota Kai and Raquel González could have won the titles tonight. They had one shot. Now what happens if they book another matchup, possibly at the next TakeOver, possibly on April 8th? What happens if you book that match at TakeOver and you give Dakota Kai and Raquel González the women's tag team titles? You should have given it to them when they had the first shot in NXT on this specific show. If you give it to them at the next TakeOver, what's it going to matter? It's not going to feel important. Why? Because they could have won it on this specific show. On March 3rd, 2021. But, like I said, I sensed a lot of main roster bullshit in this matchup. And it didn't need to be. You could have just straight up gave it to Kai and González tonight. They fucked up. They completely fucked up here. Dakota Kai wasn't legal, and the announcers are saying Adam Pearce and Raw has screwed NXT. There you go. We're back in therapy with the way in Austin Theory is saying he thinks Loomis needs a friend. Indy says she'll be his friend. with benefits. Loomis, bro. No. Indy Hartwell, like I said earlier, she's one beautiful woman. Come on, bro. Shoot your shot. I think Indy Hartwell is shooting her shot here. Question of if she is successful or not. Candace says Loomis doesn't want friends. He wants victims. Lorraine's phone keeps buzzing and Johnny is texting her what to say. The therapist goes to the door and opens it to find Gargano on the phone. The therapist kicks them all out, except for Theory. She tells him this is a safe place, a safe space, and asks him what happened when he was with Loomis, and the segment ends. LA Knight, which is Eli Drake from NWA, according to somebody that told me on Twitter. Thank you for that piece of information. Now, I don't know who he is. I don't really care. Makes way to the ring and says his time is now. Who is he, John Cena? We see Isaiah Swift Scott sitting in a music studio with a girl and he's making a song. He talked about Leon Ruff and how he's been handed opportunities while he scratches and claws for everything and gets nothing. He warns Ruff that he doesn't want to go to war with someone who cares less than he does. He's a savage. He's different and he just doesn't care anymore. I like this little segment promo here from Isaiah Swift Scott here. You know, he's acting like a hip hop thug, and it fits him because you know he looks apart there. To be honest with you, he does look apart. He does, in a good way actually, not in a bad way. In a good way. His background, yeah, with the music and stuff, being in a studio and shit. It was a good presentation of him, and that's something I can get behind. Sure. Listen, Isaiah Swift Scott, he's great in the ring. Great. Very good in the ring. But this promo tonight in the music studio really got my eyes on him just a little bit. Just a little bit more. I like him though. Let's see what they do from him from here on NXT. Hopefully, they start pushing him a little bit more on NXT. LA Knight comes to the NXT ring. And to be honest, I completely missed this segment. I completely missed this fucking segment here. He says he has waited far too long to step into that ring, stares straight down the barrel, and says what's on his mind. Knight says he isn't about to talk about childhood dreams. This isn't a dream for him. This is merely business. His business is whipping another man's ass when they step into the ring with him. Everyone talks about TakeOver. Well, a one-man revolution just stormed through the door, and people like to say Tom Brady is the best. I mean, Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. The man has 7 rings. 7. But he's got nothing on LA Knight. Oh my, you see, the outlandish shit that I hear just makes me laugh. He'll be the guy setting all the records. Yeah, sure. Knight looks around NXT and sees people like Adam Cole, Finn Bálor, Johnny Gargano, and every one of them has their kicks, dives, and flips. He tells them to bring that crap to his door, and he'll beat the hell out of them. He didn't come to NXT to do anything fancy, just to get the job done. He's the last of a dying breed, and people are already saying he might be the best of all time, and he agrees. Slow your roll, big bro. Slow your roll. He tells people not to call him the GOAT. If you want to call him anything, it's just LA Knight, and it's his game. Just as he finishes, Bronson Reed interrupts and comes to the ring, and Knight does not look pleased. Big boy Bronson Reed, that's my guy there. My guy Bronson Reed going up against Cameron Grimes. Mr. Good old GameStop, Cameron Grimes. Match was good for what it was. Pretty decent. Decent match for what it was. Listen, Bronson Reed, man, you couldn't pay me all the money in the world to put me in the ring against Bronson Reed. My God. You couldn't pay me not 1 cent or $1 million to go up in the ring against Bronson Reed. Not even a fucking splash from the top rope I wouldn't take. No. No. So Reed gets angry, starts no-selling, then chops Grimes and delivers some big forearms. Reed whips Grimes to the ropes, hits a body attack. Bronson hits a splash in the corner, then turns Grimes inside out with a lariat. Grimes moves to the apron and he grabs his hat, makes the leave. But Bronson Reed whips him out with a suicide dive. I mean, the big guy that can move like a fucking cruiserweight is beyond me. Love it. Reed gets Grimes back inside, but LA Knight comes down, throws Grimes' hat into the ring, distracting the referee, then shoves Reed off the ropes. Grimes quickly hits the running stomp, a running double stomp, and gets the victory. I guess we're getting LA Knight and Bronson Reed as a feud. I hope Bronson Reed squashes LA Knight like a fucking bug that he is. The camera's backstage spying on William Regal and Adam Pearce, who appear to be arguing about what happened in the Women's Tag Team Championship bout. I would be too, if I'm Regal. If I'm Regal, I'm giving him the fucking STF. Fucking big bald head Adam Pearce. Kaden Carter's interviewed backstage and she says it pisses her off that Xia Li badly hurt Casey Catanzaro last week. She took a girl out and now she needs to take her out. She isn't scared. Xia pushed her buttons too far and now all she sees is red. Next week is on. Like Donkey Kong. So we'll probably get Kaden Carter versus Xia Li next week on NXT. And if I was to make a fucking prediction here, Xia Li will beat the living shit out of Kaden Carter next week. We see the highlights of last week's no DQ match between Karrion Kross and Santos Escobar, the Cruiserweight Champion, the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. Once again, we're in therapy with Austin Theory. He explains that for the last 3 days, Loomis had him. He was in a tiny room with boarded up windows. All he did was watch cartoons and eat cereal. I would love to know, with Mr. Austin Theory, what kind of cereal was you eating? Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, fucking Honey Nut Cheerios, what else? Frosted Flakes, Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. Listen, man, I am a big Cinnamon Toast Crunch guy, as well as Captain Crunch guy as well. Just me. The therapist asked Theory if he knows why Loomis brought him back, and she said she spoke to him earlier that day, and he told her that he couldn't wait to get rid of Austin, just how Loomis couldn't get rid of Monday Night Raw. Moving on to the show here. Loomis was disgusted by him. I'm disgusted by Monday Night Raw. And Theory starts crying and starts running out for Gargano. The Wade comes into the room and Johnny calls her a monster. They all leave and Gargano thanks the woman, then pays her for the acting gig. Took $100 back for Arcade Night. And that's the end of the therapy segment. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Now, last week on NXT, we had Dexter Loomis pinning Gargano last week. When does Dexter Loomis get a North American Championship match? I said North American Championship match. We don't know. Probably at the next TakeOver, possibly. We don't know. Only time will tell. Ever-Rise is in the ring awaiting their opponents, Breezango. However, we had Legado del Fantasma and Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde attacked the former NXT Tag Team Champion on the stage. They beat them down the ramp and slam Fandango into the barricade. They run Breeze into the ring post. Ever-Rise applaud Fantasma, but they rushed into the ring to attack them also. Ever-Rise escaped largely unscathed, but then Santos Escobar attacks them from behind and slams them into the street. I said street. On the steel steps. Escobar gets in the ring along Wilde and Mendoza. He says, people should not mistake last week's event for weakness. You lost the cross last week, big bro. You lost the cross last week. If anyone does, what happened to Breezango and Ever-Rise is what will happen to them. Now, I asked this question, Mr. Santos Escobar. You say people should not mistake last week's event for weakness. If anyone does, what happened to Breezango and Ever-Rise is what will happen to you. You could have kept that same energy last week. You could have beaten Karrion Kross, but Kross beat the shit out of you last week, and now you want to talk like a big fucking game. I don't know, folks. It is what it is. Next week, we have a loaded NXT next week. Finn Bálor versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship next week. Should be good. Toni Storm versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. Should be good as well. And Kaden Carter versus Xia Li. Should be good for what it is next week on NXT. Now, from what I think they're stacking up NXT because AEW is coming off of Revolution on Sunday night. So they want to stack up that show going into next week. Regal's interview backstage. He says because of what happened in the women's championship match, the women's tag team championship match tonight, he's going to make an announcement next week that will change NXT. I wonder what that is. I think most likely what that is the fact that NXT is being moved to Tuesdays. We don't know if they're going to make that announcement officially next week. We don't know that yet. Or Regal could make an announcement for the next TakeOver that's coming up, possibly on April 8th. We don't know. We don't know. But like I said, tune in next week. Finally, guys, main event here. We have Finn Bálor, the NXT champion, going up against Roderick Strong in a non-title match. Main event here on the show tonight. Now, it's pretty academic here. Bálor's in a match, in a non-title match, and he has to defend the championship next week. By default, Bálor should be winning this matchup. No problem. No problem. Right? Think so. Strong attempts a gutbuster, but Finn reverses with a double stomp in midair. Bálor knocks Roddy back against the ropes and follows up with a Pele kick, then a reverse DDT. Bálor hits a shotgun drop kick that knocks Roddy into the buckles. The NXT champion goes up top for the coup de grace. Then connects to 1916 and picks up the victory. After the matchup, we see the replay of the matchup. Bálor poses with the NXT championship in the ring. He looks at the stage and Adam Cole's watching, so Finn points the trigger at him. They go one-on-one for the NXT championship next week as the show goes off the air. Pretty decent episode of NXT tonight, folks. Pretty decent episode of NXT tonight. In my opinion, pretty decent. Next week should be pretty good next week, in my opinion. Now, in my opinion here, I don't know how you guys feel. You guys think Bálor could possibly drop the championship next week? We don't know. I think he should, because the big match, if they do plan on having a takeover on April 8th, I think the matchup should be Bálor and Kross for the NXT championship. Or they can do a multi-man matchup. They can include Adam Cole in the situation. Or they can include Kyle O'Reilly, depending how he recovers from the herniated disc in his neck that we found out last week. They could have a fatal four-way, or they could strictly stay one-on-one with Bálor and Kross for the NXT championship. And that's when Kross wins back the NXT title WrestleMania weekend. Who knows? We don't know. Like I said, throughout the entire review, the only people that know the WrestleMania card and plans is Vince and Bruce. They don't want to leak out anything because if they tell somebody about the WrestleMania card, they're afraid that they're going to leak it out on the news and everything else, and everybody's going to pick up on it. They want to have WrestleMania surprising, but at the same time, we all know how WrestleMania is going to be. Probably one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Probably. Just my opinion. NXT was pretty decent tonight, but I gotta watch Dynamite tomorrow. Well, I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch it tomorrow. Because tomorrow I have softball practice and I gotta get ready for that tomorrow. So when I come home from softball practice, I'll watch Dynamite and then I'll probably watch it on DVR that I have on Hulu. So it is what it is. That is it, guys, for the end of NXT review. If you guys enjoyed the review, guys, if you got to this point of the video, If you guys enjoyed NXT review, hit that thumbs up. Leave a comment down below your thoughts of NXT. And also leave a comment down below. Do you think NXT should be moving to Tuesdays? Yes or no? Do you guys think they should move the NXT? I think they should on Tuesdays. I think they should. It's a good business move for them. It's pretty good. Leave a comment down below your thoughts of the show tonight. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that. Be sure to show your support. Hit that subscribe button down below. Excuse me. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on bell for all notifications. Raw review is live on the channel right now, as well as SmackDown review from this past Friday. Link to both of these videos will be in the annotation above that you see on the upper right hand corner of your screen, and also down below in the description. Make sure you guys are following me on social media. Twitter at GoodVibesChris with an _, and Instagram at GoodVibesChris183. That is on Instagram as well. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on Friday. For Friday Night SmackDown, we have Daniel Bryan versus Jey Uso inside a steel cage, and if Daniel Bryan wins that matchup, he gets Roman and the Universal title match. Most likely at Fastlane, but if Daniel Bryan loses, he must fall in line. Friday should be pretty interesting for SmackDown. Till then, guys, I'm Chris. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the video all over social media. I will see you guys on Friday for NXT review. Stay safe, guys. Use your fucking hand sanitizers. Wear a mask. And I will see you guys on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown. Till then, guys, I am Chris. God bless you guys. Talk to you guys on Friday for Friday Night SmackDown.